Hi YouTube! Welcome back to another episode of The Safety Specialist, where I am the safety specialist. So today's episode, I thought I would try something a little different. I'm going to be reading a little bit from this book. It's, as you can see, Reader's Digest. I know, you probably weren't expecting that, but this is Reader's Digest, Family Safety and First Aid. It's a book that I actually find very interesting. It's an older book, so some of the numbers in it that I'm going to say tonight, they may be a little off from actual numbers today as far as accidents occurring and the statistics. However, the overall information that it gives is still very relevant today. So the chapter that I'm going to read from is called The Most Dangerous Place in the World, Your House. So yes, we're going to be talking about our houses and how to look for different safety, concerns, how to do a safety audit in your house, how to think like a safety specialist, and how this may help prevent an accident. So in the time it takes you to read this article, 435 of your fellow Americans will suffer injuries in their own homes. By this time tomorrow, 63,000 of us will have cut, bruised, scalded, burned, or poisoned ourselves at home. In the next year, about 9 million of us will have had to call a doctor to tend to our home injuries. And 3.4 million of us will have been disabled, or at least laid up for a day. 23,000 of us will have died from falls, burns, poisons, suffocation, or as a result of other accidents suffered while safe at home. So I just want to take a moment and just talk about the pandemic. Did you know that when the pandemic started, that accidents in the homes actually increased? Part of the reason for this is because we're spending more time at home as family units. So children are at home, we're at home, we're getting stir crazy. A lot of people are starting to do home renovations on their own to try to either make their houses more functional or to add some more space, just to have something to do. And so that's why this is very important, is to be able to be safe in our own homes. And the figures are mounting to the booby traps that have always existed in our homes, the torn carpet, the dark staircase, the toys left scattered on the floor. Mechanization has added whole new categories of accident-inviting hazards. As we install more and more appliances, overloaded wiring systems touch off, increasing thousands of fires. Do you know where your electrical panel is? Do you know if it's full? What would you do, if, let's say, you plugged in something like a hair dryer, or you're microwaving something and decide to charge your phone in an outlet in the kitchen and the power cuts off? Would you just reset the circuit breaker and act as if nothing happened, even if the same thing happened again? Or would you think maybe it's time to call a certified electrician to take a look at the electrical panel and see if maybe I'm overloading the circuit, which could help to prevent a fire? So as we install more and more appliances, overloaded wiring systems touch off, increasing thousands of fires. Do-it-yourselfism, insurance men report, results in 600,000 injuries a year. We fall from roofs, ladders, mash and lacerate ourselves with power tools. In one recent year, hospital emergency rooms had to treat more than 70,000 persons injured by their own power motors. They're talking about lawnmowers. And let's think about lawnmowers for a second, especially since the weather is getting nicer. What happens if while you're mowing the lawn, all of a sudden it gets clogged? What are you going to do? The majority of us might tip the lawnmower on its side, put our hands in, and try to clear out the obstruction. But what's the danger in that? The blade, of course. Once you clear the obstruction, it's very possible that the blade will start turning again and you could lacerate or chop off your hand. Also, if you have, let's say, a ride-on mower, if you have small children or pets, Do you make sure they're all inside while you're mowing the lawn? If not, the risk for an accident increases because you may not see them until it's too late. And sadly, that actually is a common occurrence um, with the lawnmowers, with the ride-ons, is that sometimes children and animals get hurt. So behind these figures stand two arresting facts. Most of our 23 million annual home accidents need never happen at all. They are the result either from plain carelessness or of failure to eliminate hazards that could easily have been foreseen. So I'm going to just go over some bullet points from this book and talk about them really quick. If you have lamp cords or any kind of other electronic devices, are there frayed spots in the cords? And are they short enough not to become tangled and trip people? I've seen it at some of my job sites. I've seen it, at, people's houses. Sometimes the wire to, let's say, a vacuum or a lamp, over time it starts to get frayed. So what do? Well, we don't want to buy another one because we love the one that we have. So you think, okay, I'll just tie some electrical tape around it and it'll be good. That's not the case. Once the wires are frayed, even if you think the electrical tape, around it will be safe, the truth is it's not. There are ways to have the wires replaced, but again, you want to make sure that it's done appropriately by someone who knows what they're doing. Okay. Are perfumes, cosmetics, needles, pins, scissors, spare buttons kept out of your children's reach? Like I said, when the pandemic started, a lot of us started to stay home, including children. And some families have had to move in with extended family who may not have had children in their house for a long time. So it's very important to do a quick safety audit. Make sure that there's nothing that a child could reach. And the same could be true for pets also. Pets were actually adopted a lot more during the pandemic, and that's great. But you have to remember that some things that are safe for us may not be safe for our pets. Do youngsters put toys away before going to bed so that their bedroom floors are left uncluttered? Be honest. How many of us have stepped on a Lego? Even while growing up. I admit I've stepped on Legos that were mine. So, why is that important? Well, let's say it's the middle of the night and there's an emergency. Well, if you're waking up, because the smoke alarm is going off in your home, you're going to, be a little groggy. You're not going to be able to see correctly. You're going to be a little bit scared and panicky. If the floors have a lot of toys on them, it doesn't even have to be a lot. It could just be if the floors are not clear of clutter, it's possible to trip and fall. And, if you trip and fall, you're not only adding to the amount of time it takes to get out safely, but if you bump your head and suffer, a concussion, then you're putting yourself and others into an even more dangerous situation. So that's why it's very important, no matter how tired you are, always make sure that the floors are clear. And that goes for pet toys too. Are detergents, polishes, bleaches, drain solvents, spot removers, and other toxic chemicals stored in high cabinets or locked cabinets? Over 12% of accidental poisonings are caused by cleaning and sanitizing compounds. Now, they're still gearing this towards young children. However, thanks to TikTok trends, we have to tell teenagers and some college students that you shouldn't be eating Tide Pods. It may seem like common sense to us. However, common sense is not always very common. So just make sure that while you're keeping younger children in mind, if you have older children also in your home, make sure that they understand the risks of cleaning agents that you may have. Do you have an adequate first aid kit? Well, let's see. I have, Neosporin, I have Band-Aids, I have, the little hand sanitizer wipes for about, 5 years in my cupboard. Well, that's great. But Are any of them expired? Some of the stuff in our emergency kits do have expiration dates. So it's very important that we do at least an annual audit of our emergency kits. And you never know. Someone may have, cut their finger, doing a home improvement project and they took a bandage out. Okay, that's just one bandage. But how many home improvement projects have you been doing? Or how many small minor accidents have happened where someone needed a bandage? And then when you go to your first aid kit, are there any left? That's another key reason why it's important to do a safety audit of your home. Make sure that you have the tools necessary to make sure that if there is an accident, you're able to treat it properly. Are you using 20 to 25 ampere fuses in circuits that are wired for 15 amperes? Remember what I said. If you're not sure if a situation is safe and it involves any electrical component in your house, especially the electrical panel, make sure to reach out to a certified electrician. So a lot of these are still, very similar. The last one I'll read is, have you equipped your garage and kitchen with fire extinguishers labeled by the underwriters or factory mutual laboratories? In a future episode, I will talk more about fire extinguishers, but for now, I'll just say this. You should have at least one fire extinguisher in your home. At least one. And it should be an all-purpose fire extinguisher. They're very common and easy to buy in most stores. Once you buy it, though, you're not finished. Just like I mentioned doing an annual audit, you should also do an annual check of your fire extinguisher. They also come with expiration dates. The commercial fire extinguishers that you see in most businesses, their expirations are within 6 years. But they are checked monthly to make sure that their pressure gauges are still in the green, and they do have annual services also to just make sure that they not only have the proper pressure, but that there's no damage to the outside, and that some of them have not lost weight if they're a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. And like I said in a future episode, I'll go over fire extinguishers more in depth so you know what kind that you have and how to use it. However, in today's episode, I just wanted to briefly touch upon safety audits in your home. I hope that these videos will help you. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share them. And I hope that, you start thinking more like a safety specialist too. So thank you again for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns or would like me to go over a different topic. Thank you. Stay safe, and remember, your safety matters.